Hi. Rather than being able to get on with the HMV and the Philips, as both are waiting parts, some bits required for this boy. I've had to order from China, and this we're waiting from an EHT transformer coming back from getting rewound. So I thought I'd get a look at the RA-17. I did give it a cursory look initially, but most of the time was spent on cleaning the front fascia, the dial, the knobs, etc., and giving it a wee bit of a brush out inside. Now, we know the RA-17, we have capacitor issues, and I mean these boys here. There's quite a lot of them. I mean they just leak. This has been stored in a shed. I don't know if it's a damp shed or what. I've no idea. I think that could have been. Most sheds are a bit damp, to be fair. So all these capacitors are going to be replaced. We also hear about resistor issues on these as well. No any worse than any other item of its time. It's not as if the resistors in this are worse than you'd find in a domestic, like a TV or a radio. These are of the components of the day. So, yeah, they will give trouble. Now, whether or not it's going to cause problems if they've risen in value too much, that's debatable. I think some people just check them out, and if they're any more than about 5% off value, they'll just replace them, and then the radio gets a bad name for resistors that are way off value, but in actual fact they might not be. Valve circuitry is pretty forgiving, don't forget, and you can have resistors way out, and they still work admirably. In fact, often with no change in performance. Now, of course, there are certain parts of the circuitry where yes, the resistor values are probably more important, so that's important to do that. Anyway, the first thing, as far as I'm concerned, is to go through these capacitors and see exactly what we need to do, and replace whatever capacitors are leaky or wildly out of value. The other thing we need to do is the mains cable here. This is not obviously original, there was a socket here, so I'm thinking about making a plate up to go in there, an adapter plate, and in that adapter plate we'll mount either an IEC socket or a Vulcan 3-pin. So there's the two options there. No point in putting the original type in. The other thing, of course, is the antenna socket. I think that'll be coming out, and we'll be fitting in an SO239 in there. Yeah, so that's what will be happening on that side. So we're now going to get started on this. There's a bit of heat being around about this area, but of course we've got a wire wound in there, which is ever likely got quite hot, so it's caused the discoloration here. The thing about this is, I mean, we're talking about convection heat from here. So depending where this item is, you've got airflow flowing around it, and it could be dirty air, it could be dusty air, and so on. So the heat and the dust impregnates and makes this blackened. You see, that's just the way things. That's how it goes. So I'm not particularly concerned about that blackening there. It's just what you'd expect. So anyway, really, to start with, we're going to sort out the mains. There's two filter capacitors here. These will go away, they will be thrown in the bin. We'll be fitting modern X or Y type capacitors on it. We'll have to look at how it's wired. So we're fitting modern capacitors in there. That's the logical and obvious way to do it. And we move on there. Of course, we're going to replace this. Not a lot of clearance here, mind you, but if we have the socket flush with the outside, that'll give us a bit more clearance. So that's how we're going to go down that road. I hope. Anyway, but it's beautifully made. Of course, as we know, we can see the way the wires are wrapped properly, and you'd expect that from a piece of equipment like that's made in the UK, and that's nothing unusual. So as you can see, these covers have never been off. There's no signs of these screws being loosened ever. No signs of any tweaking, which is good. Nobody's gone in there and mucked about with the alignment. So again, that's always a big plus. I mean, this shaft's going to need obviously a bit of lubrication, a wee tiny spot of grease on the gears here. It reminds me of a differential in a car. you know, the gears there. So yeah, it's a quality item, and it's well worth doing this and getting it back into working order again. We may have to replace electrolytics, but generally speaking, what I tend to do is wake it up with the variac and give it quite a long time to give the capacitors a chance to get a taste of electricity, and then gradually reform as well. So that's how I usually do it. So I'll be starting on it. Not obviously today. I have things to do other than this. So once we get started on it, I don't show videos of me actually working on them. It's more or less pointless. But I can show you in stages. So we'll try to show you in stages. But this will be put back down, I'm afraid, if the parts come in for the TVs that I have to do. That's more important than trying to do this. This is one for myself. Yeah, so there we go. Okay, I thought I'd just show you this radio underneath and what we need to do to it. And thanks for watching. Okay, cheers everyone. Bye for now.